Newcastle 2, Chelsea nil. Newcastle edge out Chelsea in the battle for the Champions League. Welcome back to FFB, amigos. And I am sad today, but we have to go through this game nonetheless. Very key defining things that happened. And I think everybody knows already by now what our friend Jackson did today, which I think may mark not only today's game, but the whole run for the Champions League. That's how big that was. But let's get into it. Pre-match, I thought it was a strong lineup. We can check it out now. I'm still not happy ever with Caicedo playing at right back. Well, let me rephrase that. I wouldn't say ever. Caicedo playing at right back when you are playing against a low block, because that's the way it's worked. That's the way it was intended. That design, I believe, is when you know you're really going to defend with three and he's going to slot in because you're going to have high possession, high up in the field against a low block. And he ends up sitting as a DM because there's only a line of three in the back. Fine. That was never, ever going to be the case against Newcastle. If you do not know that, you have not watched them play. Even though they might sit as a low block, which they proved today, at times, that's not where you're going to spend the most of your time. And also, why the hell? I insist. I always say, why wouldn't you have the best, potentially the best DM in the world, or one of the best DMs in the world, play his position? And when you have your captain of your team and possibly the best right back or one of the best right backs in the world, uh, why wouldn't you play him in his position and play one put on the bench and the other one there? People say so you can accommodate Lavia. Well, you can accommodate both. Why would you have both DMs? Because Bruno Guimaraes and Newcastle have one of the strongest midfields in the Premier League in my strong with Tonali. I mean, like, strongest box to box, hard fighting muscle. And that's where the battles are won in most games like these, where are going to be heavy in transition. If your way to accommodate that was to move him out of position, not put James, and assume this, it was just dumb from the start. That's how I felt. I'm sorry if anybody disagrees. And you're going to say that maybe it wasn't that bad a decision. It was just the whole Jackson thing that changed the game. But hey, that's how I feel. That's how I think Maresca should stop. That's why I think Maresca should stop this right back nine. Especially, it doesn't apply to every game. I think he just sometimes doesn't apply concepts. I hate to say like wrong because like I know better because I'm trying to be humble about that, but some things are self-evident to Chelsea fans, to football fans broadly, and he takes like these unnecessary risks that I don't understand. In any case, it's a terrible start. Second minute in, worst case scenario, we've seen how Newcastle gets off the ground early lately and goes full blast at home, and it works out for them. Chelsea's exposed in wide areas, and ironically, sad to say, but yeah, it was. Caicedo does an amazing challenge at first in the challenge before it, even risking a bit of a penalty if you ask me. But he does great to recover the ball. Then they come again at them on that side. On the opposite side, a low cross comes in and finds Tonali unmarked. And unfortunately, from that low cross, Murphy put in the low cross, and at the far post, Newcastle are up, which is terrible. For the first 20 minutes, Chelsea really struggled with Newcastle's intensity. It was a lot. And there were a couple of positive moments for Chelsea in that Palmer, which I think had a good game. He didn't pull off any miracles today, but gosh, dog it, did he run? Did he try? Did he shoot? Did he did the best that he could, especially in the second half, which we'll get into, which he had a really tough time. But I'd like to look at some of the stats for Chelsea players today, him being one of them, how much they ran. But broadly, before in those first 20 minutes, before the main thing of the game we're going to get into, Chelsea left too much space in between the defenders in the midfield, especially during transition. And I think it's this high possession game. We won't get into it, but yeah, I mean, none of these are new things. We saw that as a problem there. And I think leaving Lavia alone to deal with transitions are a problem in the past when they would leave only Caicedo to deal with the transitions alone is pretty bad. And you're going to say, no, he wasn't alone because Caicedo's back there. Yeah, but he's back there in the right on the right back position, which he's not. Although he tries to invert at times, he's going to be pinned by someone like Gordon, that's a really good wide player. And after the goal, certainly was going to be. Then the main thing, the whole video could be about this, to be honest. Jackson. Mamma mia, mamma. So you guys saw it, and anybody who disagree, I didn't see anybody disagreed. I like watching the watch-alongs, which, amigos, please subscribe, please subscribe, because my dream is to do watch-alongs with you. I think I'm getting to where I have enough subscribers. Thank you so much. I'm so proud of the work we've done, and I'm so grateful to all of you. We've made it past 7,000 subscribers. I did not imagine that. I'm so humbled. Thank you so much. And I think we're at a place where we can start doing watch alongs soon. And I would be so honored if many of you join me on my first watch along, which I hope to do before the end of the season. But until then, I certainly join Benson, and I jump around because I get tired of him a little bit. But I was watching Benson, which was really cool today. George Benson Football Club, those GBFC. Those of you who have not seen him, go see him. He's a good lad. He's one of the originals. He's a really cool dude. And he had a Newcastle friend on with him to where I was watching. So I was jumping sort of back and forth between him and Eunice. And I never saw anybody that defended this. This is just such an obvious red card. And I think there's a confusion between shithousery, which we've seen, Drogba and certainly Diogo Costa do in the past, which is give shit to the defenders, push, pull, fight. But there's two variables that matter. One, you got to do that smart, right? Putting an elbow to someone's face is not that's not that. Maybe some tugging and all this, and second, we're playing in an era of VAR, so you can't get away with some stuff that you probably could have before. So that's just basic. In any case, he sees high ball coming up. He looks straight at the guy's face and throws an elbow at him. So there's nowhere, there's nowhere to have any confusion. There's no doubt. Absolutely a direct yellow card. The ref didn't see it, but obviously, the VAR has to intervene. It's fair. I think they did it, and it was early in the game before the half hour of play, and Jackson not only guaranteed that we won't play, that we're going to play with one player less for the rest of the match, for the hour remaining of football, at least, because it's, half of the mid, because I think we were at 20 something minute. So half of the first half and the full of the second half. So 75% of the game still yet to play. And this Jack Wang throws this elbow, which is very obvious, as I mentioned. And not only guarantees we're going to play that, but we play without the only number 9 that we have for the 2 remaining matches. This could literally mean, and look, it's not because Jackson's so special, but we don't have anybody else. We don't have another 9. And at this point, we need for the legs and the bodies. Like, just not having that body is a problem. He could have single-handedly made sure Chelsea doesn't get Champions League football. Because now we really depend. We depended on a miracle to happen in that game, which never came. It was impossible. Although we're going to get into the second half. I'm very proud of the Chelsea players. Very, very, very proud of the second half display they pulled off today. But he's not going to be around for Manchester United and potentially the most important game against Forest because it's a direct red card. That's just inconceivable. That's incredibly unprofessional. He's had discipline issues before. And I don't want this to be about pooping on him. And a lot of people were saying, like, yes, they can forgive him missing because that's like you suck. Like you're technically not suck. That's mean. You're okay. You're not as good, right? You're technically still developing whatever, and you miss some sitters, which he's missed a lot this season. But this is just behavioral, right? And it's not the first time that he doesn't know how to manage his emotions on the field. And this is really letting down his whole team, really letting down all the fans in the club again. And this was just horrendous. But I think that's it. I don't want to give any more time to this guy. But that's really going to define our season. But whatever happens, even if we do get Champions League or whatever, that moment is one of the more disastrous things that you can see for a team, for Chelsea, for our history, for now. Like, it was such a critical moment. and I can't emphasize that enough. And then a lot of people start losing control. We obviously got dominated after that. We started losing, and I was afraid for Fernandez, Enzo Fernandez as well. We started getting into a little bit of the rough and tumble, and that's where I think experience matters. One, Jackson being a more experienced player than that, and then the rest of the team as we're losing control to get their ish together. Our captain supposedly is Fernandez at that stage. Thank God that Reece James came in the second half because he's losing it too. He's another young player. Bruno Guimaraes, the Brazil Argentina rivalry there, he's got him by the nuts because Bruno is unlikely to get or is less likely to get red carded or anything like that or do something stupid because he's used to the shithousery all day. But he brings in Enzo Fernandez into that game that's pushing back and forward. He's driving him a little bit crazy. And at the same time, Chelsea completely lose control of the game, obviously, and we're in trouble. Halftime comes, and Reece James on the field. I think that was crucial and the most important, sub that needed to happen. But I am a little bit. Well, let's talk about the other changes later. So, despite having being a man down, Chelsea played way better the second half. We played a lot better with one less team with one less players. So, what does that tell you? Two things. One, that how much desire is sometimes lacking in Chelsea or to think outside the box, and how much it really, you know, pushed us during that time because having one less body, you're doing a lot more running, it's more difficult. And also, it says, look, Newcastle sat back a little bit because Chelsea can't do ish against a low block. And I want to see if I can put up an image or two because I took some pictures during the match to just to show when, and it wasn't that Chelsea was pinning Newcastle back, but there were times where Newcastle absolutely and deliberately dropped into a very low block to allow some of the Chelsea pressure to come in because they know it's going to be hard for them, especially without a nine in the field. You're going to start putting in crosses, which is what they were doing against Burns and an amazing defense. Nothing's going to, or it's highly unlikely anything is going to come from it. And you're going to leave them susceptible to transition. So things that smaller teams normally do to us, they increment it as part of the dynamics of play, as part of the tactics in the game, and it panned out. So it looked like, or it appeared at times, that Chelsea had some control, that they were influential in the game, that they were really doing something, but it felt pretty controlled, if you ask me. From those of us that are old Chelsea fans, you know what defending looks like. From the Mourinho era, those of us that were there, when you're organized in the back and you may be controlling the game when you're in the defensive phase of the game. And I think that's what was happening. But it was beautiful to see the display of Chelsea really attempting, going at them, really trying. And two things that obviously were going to happen. Cucurella, amazing up and down, crazy throughout the game. Palmer, nuts. He had to slot into the nine pretty much position. And then Caicedo, obviously, now is allowed to play where he belongs as a box to box midfielder because honestly, he should play further up than we normally play him in Chelsea. I say this all the time because you have him sitting as a deep lying six most of the time. But him as a box, if him and Lavia on the field as the box to box midfielders, not one as an inverted right back, the kind of engine room that you would gain there, you would be highly press resistant. And one of them, if not both, but certainly one of them, in this case, I think Caicedo, will press high up and leaving the other team highly prone to errors. And he can play through. He always plays forward balls. He can run into the box. He's got a shot in him. Trust me. I've seen it. It's been a long time, but I've seen it. And he's better utilized from the 6 to the 8 position rather than from the 6 to the right back position, right? Further up in the field. We certainly saw that and so impressed again with Palmer. So in minute 70, Chelsea's starting to get a little bit visibly tired. Palmer's as a false 9. So he's like a 9, false 9, 10, and dropping all the way down as an 8. Like he was really putting a lot of effort in. It felt sad because the distances were too big, obviously, with one person less for him to do something. Then we take out Lavia and Chalaba. But Chalaba was having a great game, and so was Lavia. So I didn't understand that, and I was honestly a little bit upset because I'm not gonna lie, I don't like Maresca anymore. I don't like his face. I don't like the sweater he wears. I don't like the things that he says in the conferences. I don't like the way he doesn't connect with fans. the way he doesn't speak to the Chelsea DNA. So I'm kind of being partial against him now, and I get it. It's kind of messed up, but he irks me a little bit. So I'm a little resistant whenever he does anything at first. But look, it worked out. It worked out. It wasn't a bad thing. I still don't think they were the greatest switches. I think I was watching Benson, for example, then, and he was really critical as to, like, Gusto, why you come in? He sucks. He can't cross. He can't shoot. But at that stage of the game, you're talking about legs too. And bringing in Gusto would allow, this is the thing that Benson missed, allow us to have James further up the field, because who the is going to shoot on goal score? It's going to be Cucurella pretty much. That's it. Palmer's not at that space yet at that place. He's coming back, but not there. And having James further up the field means he could probably put in a better cross. He's more likely to score from getting something on the second post or shooting from outside the box, which we saw on the 87th minute. It's probably our best chance. Cross comes in. He has a header. Wasn't the greatest of headers, but he was at least in the right position. So that kind of proves that point. And we had Sancho on, which I think a lot of it was about legs as well and being a little bit more offensive. And, to be honest, I think he did a good job when he came back in. Then at the 89th minute, very cruel, and the most mish. Hey, man, it's so hard not to curse on this thing. Bruno Guimaraes. He plays the villain today. He almost got Fernandez red carded. Shithousery up and down, and on top of it, he looked what first appeared to be an amazing golazo, but it turns out it just took a deflection. But still, he got the shot, he got the goal. Game over. He closed the match. To be honest, the game was over the minute. I'd like to say when Maresca chose the lineup or the tactics for the game, but that's a little bit me being a hater too much. But certainly, it was over and gone when Jackson decided to be a jackass and risk Chelsea's season completely. Because again, not only for today, he put Chelsea at risk for the rest of the season. He doesn't play until next season. He's out for the next two matches. And I think that's the main takeaway for this. Incredibly frustrating, incredibly sad. But and it's sad with even with a little tinge, extra sad as how because of how well we played the second half, to be honest with you. It was just incredible how much the effort the team put in on the second half. And that gives me hope. That gives me hope that with the remaining matches, if they have that attitude, if they put in that effort, if they have that hunger, we can still make it. But today was a big loss, mostly because we could have done better. We could have, even with one less, we could have done better. But they played above and beyond. Chelsea got more. I think it would have been unfair on Newcastle if we tie the game. But that second half was magical effort. So thank you very much, Chelsea players. Very proud of you for that second half effort, for the display of effort in the second half. And now let's hope you can bring that intensity for the two remaining games and the final of the Conference League, which right now seems to matter less and less, but I still want it. We need it. We need to win everything, amigos. So that's all I have for now. We have amazing games. I'm going to see if I can watch El Clásico with Barça Real Madrid right now. If I can, I'll try to make a video for you. I will be traveling this week, which is kind of difficult for me to make the videos, but I'll make my biggest effort because we're down to the last two games of the season with everything left to play for. So, as always, Chelsea players, again, thank you very much for your second half display today. And to the Chelsea fans, as always, come on, you Blues.